When I started my journey from literally $0 in my savings, I had big aspirations of investing and accumulating wealth. I was so pumped. I had disposable income, but just didn't know where the f to begin. The money would come, I'd even save some, but somehow I would figure out how to spend every single dollar in my account. Shit, I was spending it before I'd even earned it. And the thing is, when it came to personal finance, everything I read, everything I watched, everywhere I looked, they were saying the same thing. Get your foundation right. And it came down to 4 main points I had to get in order before starting anything. See, I'm in the building industry. In my younger years, we were called out to an old house. No steel in its footing and built on sand, not a good combination. I could see that the sand was washing away and the footings were breaking apart. The walls strained under the growing pressure and the ceiling began to sag. What were once hairline cracks, we could now fit our hands in. The walls buckled and the floorboards surrendered. The owners helpless as they watched their homes' gradual demise. The foundations of our homes are very important. Without them, nothing of solid long-term value can be built. Our wealth is no different. And it all starts at home at the base layer. Pay off your high interest debt, build up an emergency fund, run your at-home expenses like a business, and then put your money to work. These are the main points I'm going to show you throughout this video and why they are so important. So let's start with paying off your high interest debt. Now, as you start to invest, you might first dip your toes in the water by investing in the S&P 500, which is basically a basket full of the top 500 companies in the US. This passive style of investing has returned an average of 10% per annum over the past 20 years, which is pretty good. Your savings account at the time of recording could fetch you 5%, and only a few years ago, a measly 1% if you were lucky. Now, I know what you're thinking.
That's great, Corey, but what the f does this have to do with my high interest debt?
Well, let's say you have a credit card maxed out at $10,000 with an interest rate of 20% per annum, which is $2,000. If you can pay this credit card down, you will be saving that $2,000 a year by paying off the debt. The interest you save here is as good as any interest earned through investing. Even better because it's a sure thing. It's not as sexy, but on paper, this is a no-brainer. To put this in perspective, if you could generate a consistent 20% return over your investing life, you would be doubling the average market return and be considered a stock-picking genius, among the most elite the world has ever seen.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
That Ford Ranger you got on finance last year is nothing more than
just a shiny dick with 2 chairs in it.
That has you paying off up to $80,000 at 5 to 9% per annum. That's potentially $8,000 per year. Dead money. We want to pay that shit off as quickly as we can. Credit cards, car loans, personal loans all come under the banner of high interest debt. Start with the smallest one, and as you pay it off, man, celebrate. Throw on your best outfit, take your partner out to dinner. You just knocked off one of your high interest debts. Now it's time to knock. Actually, that's not very appropriate. But don't simply glide past this, man. It feels good. Makes me want to double up. You have also just freed up some of your income. Now you can move on to the next. Again, the key here is the interest you will save by paying off this debt is as good as any interest earned by investing. The second thing we can do is create an emergency fund. Put simply, this is a pool of funds that could keep you afloat for about 3 to 6 months should you lose your job. You see, building our wealth is fun when we start to invest and have our money work for us, but it's not all peachy. When I began investing in 2019, I was in the red for months before things turned around. But I knew I just had to be patient, and I could because I didn't need this money. Why is this important? Well, let's say you inject $3,000 into the stock market and your investment goes down by 30%. Your $3,000 is now $2,000. That sucks. Let's then say you have a problem with your car or worse, lose your job. You now need that $2,000. See, once you sell this investment to retrieve that money, you would have crystallized that loss. You've made it real. You don't want to be forced to sell because you need the money. Chances are, if you have invested well, you just need time for your investment to recover. If you don't have funds for an emergency, you rob yourself of the ability to be patient and give any investments that may be lagging time to recover and flourish. If your expenses are $1,000 a week, the idea is you'll put away what you can until you have $12,000 in your emergency fund. Enough to keep you afloat for 3 months if everything were to go to shit, or if life just turned around and decided to give you a good old kick in the nuts.
Oh, now, mommy, daddy button.
Yeah, this will take some time, but you will get there. Be patient. Or you can do what you've been doing for the last 40 years and yield the same results. See, the big mantra around investing is only invest what you are willing to lose, which I found quite odd, to be honest, because I'm not willing to lose any of my hard-earned dollars. The takeaway here is don't invest money you think you may need in the next 1 to 5 years. And the only way to ensure you don't pull your investments prematurely is by having an emergency fund on hand for all of life's unforeseen expenses. The third thing that has helped me start accumulating some sort of wealth is beginning to run my personal finances like a business. For years, I've been flying by the seat of my pants. I get paid weekly, and personally, this works for me. But any given week may come by and I may not have any bills. Hey, I could spend my whole pay.
Can you feel that? Huh? Can you feel it, Captain Compost?
Unfortunately, the monthly bills would come by eventually. Rent, school fees, electricity, mobile phones, Foxtel. And in one fell swoop, the next 4 weeks of income were allocated simply to surviving. No amount of prosperity or wealth can be built upon a weak-ass foundation like this. It's time to up our game. Again, what I tend to do is keep things very simple. If you don't, chances are you'll throw it in the year now bowl with the last decade where the New Year's resolutions went to die. I keep it as simple as this. Write all of your weekly, monthly expenses on paper, a spreadsheet, or as I do, simply on the notes of my phone. Itemize everything from school fees to Netflix, to food, shopping, and even that dodgy ass subscription no one was supposed to know about. Actually, we can leave some things out. And just like that, you have created a simple cash flow statement for your home finances. I hate the word budget. Nobody wants to hear that shit. Let's say myself and my wife have a combined income of $1,600 a week. Remember, this is just an example. Our monthly bills look like this. So we are paid weekly, so we average these bills out to weekly increments. You can average them out into fortnightly or monthly payments, whatever your pay cycle is. Even a quarterly bill like electricity can be paid weekly. You can set up automatic scheduled payments that come out the day you are paid, or the day after to give you a 1-day buffer. Mandatory direct debits are a little trickier, but again, we can average these out and place this amount into a savings account, linked to the everyday account your bills are paid from. Some banks will allow as many as 9 of these attached savings accounts to make it easier for you to manage your financial goals. If your mandatory mortgage payment is due on the 15th of every month, let's say, again, I can set up a recurring payment from my savings account to the account my mortgage is paid from on the 14th of every month, the day before. You may have to rewatch this section to get your head around it, but the principle here is you want to put your finances on autopilot and avoid lump sum monthly or quarterly payments. Man, these are killer and they just slow you down. The chances of you sticking to a budget are much greater when it's on auto drive. You just have to check in on it from time to time. Like myself, the only problem you might have is you end up in credit with some of these payments because you've averaged out on the high side. Luxury problems. You see, when you go on holiday, you don't simply show up to the airport and hope for the best. You don't just jump in your car and start driving down the coast hoping the road will lead you to your destination. You have a plan. Be clear where every cent goes every week, every month. Having this outlaid on paper will give you some definitivity on how your personal finances work and enable you to make plans to build some sort of wealth or financial freedom. For instance, this very basic cash flow statement or budget has shown that we have $420 of disposable income, $100 to the emergency fund, $100 to the holiday, $120 to the family investment account, and an extra $100 payment to the car loan, however you want to do it. The day I get paid, the funds automatically move where they need to go, leaving only what I have to spend for the week, somewhat of an allowance. I have to do it this way because I know my personality. Find what works and mold it around your personality. There need not be any mystery around your personal finances. And let me tell you exactly why this works for me. You see, I love chocolate, and when I buy a family block of the oh so lovely Caramello,
Tastes so good, make you want to slap your mama.
I cannot simply have one row and put it back in the pantry. I'm back on the couch and I can hear that Caramello calling my name. I'll go back for another and another and another, and before you know it, I have absolutely obliterated the whole block. Give me a cup of tea in a few minutes, man, that block never stood a chance. This is my personality and I know this. If I have money in an account that is too freely available to me, you better believe I'll find a way to spend it. Again, find what works for you, be consistent, and I believe to be consistent over time, you need a very basic structure in place that can be done over and over, week after week, rinse and repeat. No surprises, no guessing. This will allow you to move on to bigger, better things like point 4, which is putting your money to work, investing and building wealth. Once you start doing this, once you start to see the progress and the security you are creating for your family, it will light a fire, a hunger inside of you like nothing you have felt before. I swear to God. For the fathers watching this, this is our purpose, our motivation. This is what gets me up at 4 a.m. every morning to go to work. Like yourself, my family and my kids are my everything. And if you want to know why your kids will out earn and outbuild and outshine anything you ever have, click this video right here.